Hi, welcome to the Print's live session on the data released by NSSO shows that India's unemployment rate has hit a 45-year high of 6.1%. What does this mean for the Modi government, which is just going to in a couple of months, face the general elections due later this year. Modi government came on a promise of giving jobs to India's youth. Now that this kind of data has come out, it obviously doesn't bode very well for the Modi government. The opposition has been quick to latch on to this number and criticize the Modi government's performance on the whole issue of job creation. We have lots of reaction from both the Congress, the Communist Party of India, which now shows that jobs is going to be the central plank of the 2019 general elections. The Modi government is most probably going to struggle to defend these numbers. Remember that a few days back, two members of the National Statistical Commission quit. One of the major grouse was the fact that the government withheld the release of this data that has now had withheld the release of this data. Obviously, now we can figure out why this data was withheld. So the government yesterday said that they're waiting for a few more rounds of the labor survey to be added to this data. But given the fact that unemployment rate is 6.1%, the government is unlikely to, this is for the year 2017-18, the government is unlikely to bring this report before the general elections. But the damage is done with the report now out in public domain. So the first question that we have is from Gopal, who asks that apart from demonetization and GST, which were the other factors responsible for such crisis of unemployment, which government did work upon? The unemployment rate also reflects the number of people who are looking for jobs. So yes, we have, as India, given the demographic dividend that India has, nearly half of India's population is under 25 years, nearly 65% of India's population is under 35. So it means that more people are looking for jobs, and obviously governments have not been able to meet that kind of job creation demand. The Modi government has announced schemes or a lot of funding schemes for people to become self-employed, basically helping people to start their own businesses. And they have been justifying that, probably this jobs data doesn't reflect that kind of self-employment, the improvement in self-employment scenario that is there in India. But still, the fact remains that we haven't been able to create enough jobs. Demonetization was a major reason, because immediately after demonetization, a lot of small industries were forced to shut down because of the massive cash crunch that followed. We were not able to replace the notes that were demonetized at the pace at a very fast pace, because of which literally you had like at least 2 quarters where there was no cash in the hands of businesses to pay their employees. We saw, anecdotally, we know that a lot of small businesses shut down, construction activity was very badly hit, and people moved back to their villages. This data is for 2017-18, so it seems to reflect the consequence of demonetization. GST, I'm not sure, had a very big impact on the jobs data, because GST came in only from 1st April 2017, but from 1st July 2017, and it doesn't really have that kind of an impact on employment per se as demonetization had. The next question is from Gopal again, who's asking if out of 31% vote share, I think Modi and NDA may lose up to 5% votes due to unemployment, underemployment, including stress on self-employed, MSME, agriculture. Do you agree? It remains to be seen how well political parties are able to use this number, as in the opposition parties are able to use this number to counter the Modi government's performance in these 5 years. But yes, this data does seem to suggest that the Modi government has not been able to meet the aspirations of India's youth. So, but in terms of vote share, I don't know how much will be, eventually how much this number will impact the Modi government's vote share. I guess you will have to wait for the election results to figure out what is the hit on the Modi's, on the BJP NDA's vote share. Rohit is asking, what about these railway jobs offering close to elections? Yes, we've obviously seen a lot of news reports which are talking about these huge openings in railways. and the number of applicants that have come in. So I guess government nowadays is typically a contract employer, doesn't offer long-term jobs anymore, but still there is so much demand for government jobs, because government jobs do seem to be still the favorite among India's youth. Siddharth Chaturvedi asks, how effective is government has been pushing in the fourth industrial revolution, which is AI, to create more jobs? The government has tried to push Make in India. I'm not really sure about this whole artificial intelligence thing, but the government has been trying to promote Make in India to ensure more companies set up industries in the country, so that there is an employment push. You also see a lot of these industrial promotion schemes that have come in. The whole fact that, you know, government has tried to ease the doing business or improve the ease of setting up of businesses in India. So, you know, they have done away with something called a Foreign Investment Promotion Board. There are a lot of single window clearances that have come up. The Department of Industrial Policy and Promotion has the final say on many of the investment proposals that do come in from other countries. So they have tried to ease this whole Make in India tack to ensure that a lot of foreign investment comes into the country and people are actually setting up their industry and business here. One major thing that we see is even like state governments give a lot of incentives, you know, for setting up of industries there. In the central, so does the central government. So both are like, both state and central governments are trying to ensure that more industries are set up here to encourage job creation here locally. Firdosh Alam is asking, has the Skill India scheme worked? Data remains sketchy there on how successful has the government been in achieving Skill India. You know, they have set up a lot of these industrial training institutes in India, and a lot of students also enroll into these schemes. But employability in the end still remains an issue. Though the government has tied up with many of these corporate houses to ensure that, you know, the schemes, the students who pass out of these colleges are directly employed by the corporates, but still it is not a huge success as the government had as the government wanted it to be. Anupam Sinha is asking, everybody is raising questions about unemployment in India. That means job opportunities outside India is very good. As per me, inside India and abroad, job market status is the same. Your opinion? I'm sure employment opportunities are much more in India because India is a growing economy. Though yes, there is this whole talk of how there's jobless growth in India. So though our economy is growing at a 7.5%, we are not able to create jobs commensurate to that growth rate. Again, overseas, you know, you have a lot of instances where the economies are not growing, the economies are contracting. I'm not sure how well the job scenario is overseas, especially at a time when economies themselves are not growing. And we don't seem to have any more questions